fan. He was last in this country in 2003. Now, if you think back to 2003, 50 Cent's In the Club was #1. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King had just come out. They legalised prostitution. Right, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Garrett Wang.
Why is
everyone leaves. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
I thought I'd get you up because there's going to be a mass exodus of the Supergirl fans and a mass introduce of Star Trek fans.
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah, and I thought you and I could just sit up here and talk about the comparisons, the parallels between Pokemon Go and legalized prostitution.
Let's do it. Pokemon Go.
But yeah, Adele tells a lovely story about how when you were here, that's when we voted, the change to the laws occurred, and it just blew your mind. What else about New Zealand is blowing your mind, Garrett?
I would have to say, really just, when I first came here in 2003, I got to see the scenery, I got to see the landscape, and how beautiful New Zealand was, and how everything in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, all the background is real, it's not CGI, there's no computer generated, so that's really what blew me away, and the kindness of the people, for the most part. I've only had one kind of not so good thing. The other day I was walking along and there's a woman selling wood products, and she had like Christmas tree ornaments, and Katie's mother, who you just had here, Katie on stage, her mother's a big fan of Christmas and has 4 Christmas trees in the house and collects ornaments. So I go to take a picture of the ornaments because I want to show her, you should come back here to buy some of these. And the woman who owns the store goes, "No pictures allowed." Oh, okay. And at which point I turned to her, I was like, you know what? I'm not stealing your ideas. I was literally taking a picture for a lady who loves Christmas ornaments that would probably come back here and buy all of these, so I'm trying to help your business. And she's like, well, that's nice, but you should have asked first. I mean, it was just really rude kind of behavior. And that's the only rude person I've encountered in New Zealand. Not to say that there aren't more rude people.
Oh, no, there's heaps more.
Are there heaps more?
Oh, heaps, yeah. We just hide them. When we have a guests over from another country, we round them all up like sheep. And we just hide them.
Oh,
but every now and then one will slip under the radar, and it's usually in our hospo, customer service area.
All right. We saw each other early this morning, 8 a.m. Yes. We walk outside the hotel, and it's probably like 1,000 runners run past us. They're down there in Colombo Street.
Yes, Colombo Street.
So I turned to Damien, I'm like, oh my God. Is this the Christchurch Marathon? He goes, no, it's the largest Pokemon Go raid ever. And I play Pokemon Go. Anyone play Pokemon Go here at all? Okay. All right. So I have 2 phones. So I've got 2 teams. I'm the yellow team and the blue team.
And an iPad.
And an iPad, which is the red team. So I play all 3 teams, right? But my teams, I named one of them, my screen name is Forever Ensign because I never got promoted, okay? And the other one, I'm going to just start by telling you a very interesting story. I was signing autographs at a convention about 5 years ago. A young lady walks up to my table and she says, I was 7 years old when I first watched Star Trek Voyager. I go, that's great. I loved it. I watched all the episodes, but I'm very embarrassed to tell you that the entire time I watched Voyager, I thought your name was Handsome Kim. Not Ensign, which is the most junior officer, E-N-S-I-N-G-N. She thought it was Handsome, H-A-N-D-S-O-M-E. So my other account is The Handsome Kim. So if you see me in a gym as Forever Ensign or The Handsome Kim. But then, if you think about this little girl, every time she watched Voyager, every time Janeway turned to me at my station and said, status upon Ensign, she heard status upon Handsome. That puts a whole new spin on it, doesn't it?
There's some fan fiction that needs to be written.
Oh no, let's not go to fan fiction. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no.
Most of the stuff I come across is, Tom and Harry as lovers. I'm like, no! But,
So I had no idea what it was, and then someone said,
fan fiction?
Some examples of it.
Oh yeah.
And one of the show in particular was Supernatural.
Yep.
And it was about the brothers, brotherly love.
Oh my gosh.
And
no.
I love my brother, but not like that.
Not like that. Yeah, fan fiction really is a very interesting part of, I don't know what you want to say, literary history or whatnot.
But at the end of the day, it allows people to express themselves creatively, and that's always a good thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. Oh,
Right.
we have questions?
We have questions.
Okay. Hi.
Hi there. I've got 2 questions.
Yes.
First one is, what is it like being the best looking cast member on Voyager?
You mean the most handsome cast member of Voyager?
Yes.
Why, thank you so much. I don't think of myself as the best looking cast member of Voyager. Thank you, though. I think Chakotay is a good looking man. I do. Tom Paris is alright, but you know, Chakotay is a good looking guy. I just want to quickly tell you, I was walking past Chakotay's trailer, Robert Beltran's trailer, and he was going through fan mail. And I'm like, wow, you've got a lot of fan mail there. And he opens up one envelope, and he pulls out a pair of lady sneakers, right? So, and he goes, more panties. I'm like, what? More panties? And he looks at me, he's like, well, you don't, is this the type of fan mail you get? I go, no. My fan mail, I don't get anything like that. It's usually from prisoners in a penitentiary that are writing me like, my name's John, I'm in prison, and I love Ensign Kim. That's what I get, but he got more panties, so, you know. All right, what's the second question?
Well, the second question is more to do with the racial casting. I was such a big fan of Star Trek because growing up, I had a huge crush on you, for one thing.
Oh, thank you.
Still do.
Oh, thank you again.
But a lot of TV series, they didn't really, you know, it was very whitewashed back then,
Yes.
you know. But in Star Trek, they always had at least one, if not multiple, you know, Asian, like different, you know,
That's right.
multiracial. What was it like being on a show that put such emphasis on making sure they had multiracial, you know, cast?
Yes, good question, good point. That was a huge deal. I mean, for me growing up, when I watched original series Star Trek with Kirk and Spock and Sulu, seeing Sulu was a... Just went out for a second. I'm back in. Seeing Sulu was a huge deal for me because he was probably the only person in the 60s that was an Asian man on television without an accent, you know, that wasn't an immigrant. He spoke with a nice voice, you know. He sat there on the bridge. We're 8. We're 9. I mean, that was a, you know, you look up to, thank you. That was my Sulu. I love Sulu. Sulu's awesome. So I felt that that was a huge deal for me growing up, and then to be cast on a show which is so multi-ethnic, and they really care about showing different types of ethnicities, which is really closer to true life, right? I mean, it's not just Caucasians and that's it. I mean, there's you know, Latinos, there's Asians, there's African Americans, African everywhere here, right? So it's really a mix, and Star Trek really was the first show to kind of show that real mixture of ethnicities. And for me, getting on Star Trek, I told the producers, I said, I want Ensign Kim to be Starfleet first, Asian second. So don't make him go into the mess hall to the replicator and order a bowl of noodles, right? Or I'd like fried rice. I mean, don't do that, okay? They said, oh, that's cool. So please keep that in mind. In season 1, they came to me, they said, okay, in this upcoming episode, Ensign Kim goes down to the planet and he's not wearing his Starfleet uniform. He's wearing just his normal clothes. But the clothing that we chose for you is a bit questionable because it folds over, kind of like an Asian kind of, you know, an old, like a karate gi or uniform, whatever. So we want to make sure that you're not offended by this. So I went over to the wardrobe department, I took a look at it, and I'm like, you know what, it looks okay, because it's got other detailing on it. It wasn't overtly Asian, right? And I'm like, well, I think I can wear this. They said, oh, by the way, this article of clothing was worn once before by another Star Trek cast member from a prior show. I go, oh, what show? Next Generation. Who wore it? Patrick Stewart. I go, oh, well, I can wear this as a turban, actually, or a diaper, or I could just make it a towel out of it, you know. So the minute they told me Patrick Stewart wore it, I went, yes, I'll wear it too. So, but thank you for those questions. I appreciate it. All right, I feel like I should give her a hug.
Oh, wait, okay. Hey.
Well, she still has a crush on me, so.
I'm not going to explain it to your wife.
She's right there. She's watching.
What about the rest of it?
Yeah. In due time, sir. Your question.
I've got really important questions after that one.
Oh.
In Voyager, you're in Voyager, right? You're
Yes.
in your chair.
Yeah.
You're on impulse power.
Yes.
If you take your hands off the joystick, does it drift to the left or the right?
Most definitely to the left.
To the left.
Yes.
So that's really a problem.
Yes, it's a problem.
So that's why you're always fiddling with your stick.
That's right. You led me right down that path, didn't you? I'm like, I'll just keep walking until he tells me I'm fiddling with my stick. Okay.
But I didn't
You have a real question?
Yeah, I didn't think I'd get that.
You did get that far. I'm impressed.
It's another technical question.
Yes.
In the new Star Trek,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've already discussed that.
You mean Discovery?
Discovery, yeah. When they come out of warp, they stop.
Yeah.
But when Voyager comes out of warp, it keeps going.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, so Voyager's brake pads needed to be replaced.
That's right. We're in the Delta Quadrant for so long, our brake pads wore through, you know.
But only on warp, so.
Right.
And as a physicist, what do you think should happen? Should you stop or keep going?
I think you should probably keep going a little bit. You shouldn't just dead stop. Everyone's going to hit the windshield then, right?
So you've thought about this?
Yeah, not much.
Wait, hang on, did Discovery not warp? It didn't go to warp speed.
When the ships came to support them, if you remember, they all just come boom, 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 and they all stop like immediately as they come out of warp.
I like that sound effect. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
boom, boom, boom.
I think it's just it looked cool.
That's what I thought. They just realised that it looks cool.
Yeah. Well, they have, but on Discovery they have that spore drive, so that thing changed. That's a whole new game there,
They just
right?
made that up.
Yeah. Who's seen Discovery here, by the way? Okay. By a show of hand, who enjoys the show? Yeah. Anyone like thinking it's too dark and maybe it should? Oh, a few people here.
That's what the Orville is.
Yes. Anyone seen the Orville here? Everyone like the Orville here? That's a fun show, right? What's that? That's not too dark at all. No. But they actually talked about going to the loo, to the restroom in the first or second episode, which no one on Star Trek talks about ever using the restroom, which was amazing. The Orville, I got a chance to visit the Orville set about a month ago. Robbie McNeil, Tom Paris, is a director now. He was directing an episode of the Orville, so I was there. Got to meet Seth MacFarlane finally. Funniest thing though, in between takes when nothing was going on, Seth MacFarlane's sitting there, he picks his phone up and he's playing Candy Crush on his phone. And I'm looking over his shoulder going, wow, he's playing Candy Crush. So that's an unknown fact about Seth MacFarlane.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Good to see you.
See you later.
Yeah.
Look, I understand how people can think it's dark, but every Star Trek speaks of war. Talks about the war before, the war that's happening, the war that's going to happen.
That's true.
It's about time we actually saw a war in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, I guess. It's just, you know what? I mean, and also this new Star Trek, there's profanity in it too, right? They've dropped the F-bomb, they've said other things, and you don't hear that typically in Star Trek. But then again, human beings are human beings. There's going to be people that are going to have profanity come out of their mouths, so it's not going to be, unrealistic for that to happen, right? Yes.
Right. Okay, so relating to Discovery, it seems like Deep Space Nine and Enterprise and Discovery, they really had fun with their mirror counterparts.
Yeah.
Do you ever wish Voyager got that chance?
Yeah, we kind of had a bit of a mirror episode. You guys remember the episode? It was the aliens had a certain image of what Voyager was 900 years in the future, that we were evil, an evil ship, and we had black turtlenecks there. And the opening scene is Harry Kim is backhanding a prisoner that's being interrogated by Chakotay, and his tattoo, instead of being a small tattoo, covers his whole face, so that's kind of our mirror show, but I wish we had a solid 100% mirror universe show. Would have been great. And as far as Discovery is concerned, I felt that the minute they introduced the mirror universe, they could have stayed there for the rest of the season. We just want to watch those guys stay in there. That would be lovely. Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
Hi, Garrett.
Hi, Janeway.
Nice to see you.
Yes, Captain. It's me, Handsome Kim. Hi.
I
story about how you met someone who was actually called Ensign Kim?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Do you want me to? Okay,
Can you share with us?
I'll share that story. So years ago, I was flying from Los Angeles to Baltimore, Maryland. We were flying on an airline called Southwest Airlines. Now, Southwest Airlines is a U.S. Airlines in which you don't have a boarding pass. You sort of have a boarding group that you board with. So you kind of sit anywhere that's open seats. So I was the last to board with a friend of mine. We were flying from Los Angeles to Baltimore to watch our mutual friend, Jonathan Ogden, who was the left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens at the time, the U.S. American football team. And so, as we board, my friend Aaron is sitting at the front of the plane, and I'm sitting at the very back of the plane. As we land in Baltimore, Aaron is waiting for me, because obviously he deplanes before I do. When I get off the plane, I'm there, and I see Aaron, and he's standing next to Aaron is this young Asian fellow, Asian American fellow, and I walk up, and Aaron says, "Meet Harry Kim." And I thought he was introducing me to this guy, and I go, "Hey, thanks for watching the show." And and Aaron goes, No, this guy is Harry Kim. And I go, "What? Your name's Harry Kim?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been wondering if I ever get a chance to meet you, and finally I meet you on a plane to Baltimore. I'm Harry Kim." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." And in fact, when your show was on the air, I was in the U.S. Navy, and I was Ensign Harry Kim. I go, "No." He goes, "Yes. Every day that I was in the Navy, all the guys in my unit made fun of me. Every day, because I was Ensign Harry Kim." I'm like, "Oh, that's really amazing." And we meet. We're the same. He goes, "Oh, no. I got promoted." I go, "Oh." The real life Harry Kim gets promoted, and Ensign Kim on Voyager never gets promoted.
But you can't promote handsome.
You could be extra handsome Kim, right? Extraordinarily handsome Kim. There you go. Well, thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate that. Hi.
Hi, I was just wondering, what was it like working with Jerry Ryan?
What was it like working with Jerry Ryan? Painful. Every day of my life, painful. She's so ugly. No, just kidding. It was nice. I'll be honest. It was nice. I mean, the minute she showed up, all the boys were all like, "Hi, how's it going? You need some water?" I mean, everyone was just flitting around her like she was a flame, and we were moths, like flying around her. She's really fun. She's got a good sense of humor. There's a scene where Ensign Kim has to kiss Jerry Ryan, 7 of 9, but she turns into an alien at the last second. But in the real, while we were filming, obviously I really did end up kissing Jerry Ryan, and I remember I was so nervous that I was turned away from the camera and the director, and I had a piece of tissue paper, and I was sweating so profusely, so I'm patting my sweat down like, oh my gosh, and I hear the director go, "Tape, rolling, action," and I turn around, and the director goes, "Cut." I'm like, what? "Garrett, you have pieces of tissue paper stuck all over your face. Please remove that." So I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'll do that." But I was so nervous. I just remember, finally he goes, "Action!" I go in for the kiss. Now, if you look at 7 of 9, she has a full upper lip and a full bottom lip. I have a full upper lip and a full bottom lip. So when we kissed, it was like 2 mattresses bumping up against each other. It was just joyous. You're too young to know about that anyway, aren't you? Okay, all right, so, no, it was nice. It was a good time working with you. You like that character though, right? Yeah. Maybe you can cosplay as that when you get older. You can do a 7 of 9 cosplay. Yeah? Cool. You look good though. Thank you. Hi.
Garrett, good afternoon. My question, which first one's taken. The second one, you spent a long time on the Delta Flyer. How many hours would have been put into that, and how would have you enjoyed your experience with the Delta Flyer?
It's interesting that when you talk about shuttles, the Delta Flyer is very sleek and beautiful, but people always ask me, how many shuttles did you have on Voyager? Because we crashed so many shuttles, right? Did I enjoy it? I love the Delta Flyer because it looked like a real shuttle. Everything else looked like a tissue box, you know, I didn't like that. But yeah, the Flyer was wonderful to work in and to film in. There was one day I came to work, I wasn't working, but Neelix and I think Tom Paris and 2 other characters were filming in the Delta Flyer, and as they were filming, you could hear action, and all of a sudden you hear, oh! And people were banging on the back door, open up, open up, open up! Finally they open up the back and everyone stumbles out, except for Neelix, who walks out slowly grinning because he's passed gas inside the Delta Flyer. He left the stinkiest fart you could ever think of, and almost every person in there, the cameraman, they were all dying. They're like, air, please, air. Sorry for the flatulence jokes. People are leaving now. They're like, oh, I can't take it. I can't take it. Thank you, though, for your question.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Oh, hi. What's your shirt say?
Janeway for president.
Janeway for president. I had a shirt that said Janeway or the highway because that's pretty much it's her way, right? All the way. Do you guys see what I'm wearing today? This is my. Is the camera on me? The Captain Proton. Oh, where's the cameraman? Is he right there? Okay, can you get it? Let's do a Captain Proton movie. Would you watch that?
Yes.
Or web series? Okay.
My question actually follows on from your last answer. Is there anyone on the series that was constantly annoying by doing things like farting a lot or playing practical jokes?
Oh, yes. Who is constantly annoying everyone? Well, in fact, there used to be what I call, instead of Star Wars, I call it the Fart Wars that went on Voyager. And there were 3 countries that were involved in this battle. It was the country of Neelix, the country of Paris, and the country of Tuvok. These 3 actors were constantly doing the Fart Wars thing, and what would happen is I'd be innocent, and I'm an innocent bystander, I didn't join in on that. I'm sitting there at the op station, and Tuvok would walk across the bridge and say, hey buddy, I got a present for you, and he would turn around and release gas at the op station and walk away. Okay? Robbie McNeil, Tom Paris, he would come to my trailer, he'd knock on the door, I'm like, yeah, come in, he'd come in, he goes, hey, how's it going? He would release gas, walk out, and close the door on me. And this is what I had to endure for 7 years. These 3 crazy people just letting gas off left and right. Tuvok, Paris, and Neelix. But, you know, no one else. Like, can you imagine Janeway doing that? She would I have a present for you. Give you a little toot. Goodbye, Ensign. Handsome. Yeah, but the biggest practical joker was Tuvok. Tim Russ was always playing jokes all the time. And you wouldn't, you know, it's hard to believe because he truly is very Vulcan in real life. He's very monotone in his delivery of when he talks. And so it's kind of weird when, hi, how are you? How's it going? It's interesting when people just walk right across like that. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, thank you for your question. I appreciate that.
Just a follow-up to that. Do you think any of them were actually on a special diet to ensure that they could win? Like broccoli and protein?
No. Tuvok would say that. He's like, just wait. I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat granola, beans, everything I can to generate more ammunition for tomorrow. Yeah, that really happened. Yeah.
Heavy diet.
Yes.
I've got one serious, one unserious question.
Okay. Let's go serious first and end with unserious.
Star Trek is always good at sort of pushing the envelope and sort of technology that they use and CGI and things like that. How is it working against the elements where you get told, okay, we're filling in all these things later, you're acting against a blank space, but this is going to be a 6-foot-tall alien?
Very difficult, because when you're working with green screen, like especially when we were working with in the episodes where we had to deal with Species 8472. Species 8472 is like 12 feet tall. I mean, he's a very imposing alien, but he's always green screen, so we never actually see a physical representation of him. And to make our eye line the right height, it would usually be some electrician holding a broom handle with a little cardboard, a round cutout piece of cardboard that's taped to the end of the broom handle with a very crude drawing of Species 8472's face. and this electrician who's typically overweight, and his belly is showing a little bit, and he's like, 8472 is walking towards you, and all I can see is a fat guy holding a broom handle walking towards me, and I'm supposed to be like, ah! But really, it's a fat guy holding a broom handle. So there was, you had to really be good at playing make-believe to make sure that you didn't see all that, and it's just 8472. So it's not the easiest. I think green screen is one of the most difficult things to act with that they never teach you when you go to acting school, at the typical conservatory training, when you're training, learning Shakespeare and doing stage plays. They never teach you how to act with green screen. You just have to stumble upon that and do the best you can to block out everything else. Very difficult. Okay, funny one.
Mundane superpower. Damien has perfect parking. My friend always has what she needs to make a cup of tea. A friend never has sore feet. What would you want yours to be?
Oh my god. Mundane superpower? I would say, I guess, to never be hungry. I don't know.
That's totally
that's not mundane. I don't know. What's yours?
Mine is whenever I want to go to a building, there's always a part where I need to get to. Actually, David Sobolov, his one is every single kernel of corn pops when you're making popcorn.
A lady I asked in a shop once said, when she goes on break it's busy, but when she comes back from break, it's dead quiet.
I'll have to think about that one. Give me some time.
Think it over.
Yeah, and I'll answer that. Thank you. That's a really good question. She stumped me. Okay. Yes.
What have been some of the most emotionally or physically challenging scenes to film?
What are the most emotionally or physically challenging scenes to film? Probably the episode The Shoot. You guys remember that? Ensign Kim and Tom Paris are trapped in the alien prison ship. We had to deal with all this fake synthetic smoke that they pumped in there. There's a lot of dirt and dust. So everyone on the cast and crew got bronchitis by the end of that filming of that episode. I fell down a flight of stairs and cut my knee open. So it was blood, sweat, tears, and bronchitis. It was rough. But that episode is the one where Harry Kim sort of takes the lead and becomes Tom Paris's. He looks after Tom. Up until then, Tom's always looking after Harry. But because Tom gets stabbed by another prisoner, Harry becomes the big brother in a way. And so the final scene, if you recall, Harry's sort of waving away all the other prisoners with this lead pipe, and Tom is on the ground. He's lying there, just he's unconscious. And I remember when we were filming, I was like, get back, get back! And I stepped back, and I stepped on Robbie McNeil by mistake, right? I stepped on him. And I heard him go, like groan like that, and the director yells cut, and then Robbie, he's on the ground, he goes, I hate not being the hero. Be quiet. So that was probably the most difficult scene to film. And also I had to climb up the chute, and that was really tough too, to have nothing to hold on to and just use physics to get myself up this very slick metal slide or tube. But the chute was the most difficult physically. Yeah.
And for the record, I think Harry should have been captain by the end, because Tom was in jail, got promoted to lieutenant, got demoted to ensign, got promoted back, and even the nightly crew members had ranks.
Exactly. I mean, Tom Paris, when we find Tom Paris at the beginning of Voyager, where do we get him? We pick him up from the New Zealand Federal Penitentiary, so he's a prisoner, and yet he gets promoted, demoted, and remoted. I always say, Harry Kim died and came back to life. He's the first character in season 1 in the episode Emanations to die and come back to life. And that should be Starfleet regulations, like regulation number 7B, if you die and come back to life, automatic promotion! But no, it didn't happen. So. Thank you though, appreciate that.
I do like the idea.
Yes, there you go. I'll take that one too.
I was saying, when you write your memoirs, one of the chapters should be titled Blood, Sweat, Tears and Bronchitis.
Yes, thank you. Well, that could be the title of the entire autobiography then.
Oh, no, that'll be Handsome Kim.
Oh. I'm Handsome Kim. Yes. All right. Cool. Hi.
Hi, Garrett.
Hi.
I have a question about your music career.
My what?
Your collaboration with Voltaire on the album by Children.
Oh my gosh.
How did you end up hooking up with him for that?
Voltaire and I have been friends for a long, long time. For those of you who don't know Voltaire, he does a lot of interesting albums, interesting music with interesting lyrics, but all, geek type of lyrics and lines. I met him at Dragon Con years ago, which is a huge convention in Atlanta, Georgia, that I frequent. And he asked me to be on his album, and also Tim Russ, Tupac, is on the album too. And we sing like one line on there. It's not a big deal, but yeah, I'm not, I don't have a singing voice whatsoever, so it's sort of embarrassing, for me to do any singing. But yeah.
One song is still in music, correct?
What's that?
One song is still in music,
yes,
correct?
Yes, it is very much so. It's a short one, but yes, it is. Yeah. But yeah, Voltaire's a wonderful guy, so I'm surprised that you've heard that one. Okay.
Yeah, I own the CD at home.
Right on. Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good
I like.
CD.
Yeah, I like your steampunk outfit.
Oh, thank you.
It looks good.
And thanks for answering my question.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
G'day Garrett, how are you?
He was too lazy to even come over the rail. He's like, nah, I'm just going to stand up in my seat and ask for me. No, just kidding. Go ahead. What is it?
If I had a transporter, maybe I'd be able to get
Yes.
you. Anyway, what I was going to say is, I noticed that some of the old crew, like original series, the ones that are alive are like pushing 80. Could you see yourself in another 20, 30 years being like Chekhov, a lot older than you are, doing an Admiral whatever, or whatever incantation of Star Trek happens in the future?
I could see that, but I don't think I'll ever get promoted, so I don't know if that'll ever happen. So the 80-year ensign. Is that the title of my autobiography? The 80-year-old ensign. So people ask me that question at convention. They're like, hey, what's Ensign Kim doing now? The show ended in 2001. It's now 17 years later. And I always respond, oh, it's simple. He never gets promoted, so he quits Starfleet. He's very angry. But to get his revenge, he basically rents out the retail space right next to the entrance of Starfleet headquarters in San Francisco. He rents out that space and he opens up Admiral Kim's Bar and Grill, like that. So,
I'd have to be on a promenade somewhere.
Yes, and they only give discounts to ensigns. That's it.
And the other thing is, since you've been involved in Voyager, it's the Star Trek fandom, whatever, is a pretty insane place to spend your life in.
Yeah.
How do you haven't done this in years and years and years, how do you still keep excited about the Star Trek and the fandom? It's a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, for me, I've always been a fan of science fiction since before I even got on Star Trek. So I always tell people when I go to conventions, if I wasn't an actor on Star Trek, I would be sitting next to you watching whatever actor on whatever sci-fi show is speaking at this panel, because I love this genre. And so that's what keeps me excited. And I love going to conventions because I get a chance to show people that I have a sense of humor, right? Ensign Kim's not just like, or Garrett Wang is not Ensign Kim doing, Jill's down to 30% captain. I mean, I'm more than that, right? So, just the fact that I'm a fan at heart. Thank you. Appreciate that. She's back.
Hi. I was wondering if, how they've got new series coming out, if they did a sort of reboot with a promotion and the Captain Kim gets his own ship, what would you want the name of it to be, and what sort of mission type focus would you want?
Oh my gosh. What would be the name of my ship? The only thing that came to my head was the USS Chakotay. I don't know why. I mean, he's my best friend on the show, so maybe that's why that popped in. The USS Chakotay. Oh, one day on the set, we're joking around.
Or would you be more like a war vessel, like the current show Discovery is more in the Klingon sort of war now, so would it be more that sort of focus, or would you want to be a science type vessel?
I think it'd be nice to be a combination of both if I could. I don't want to just be science or just be war. I'd like to be both if I could, right? When people ask, this is sort of not really answer your question, but it reminds me of when people ask me, if you were to write an episode, what would it be about? And I said, It's very simple. In the episode Deadlock, there's two Harrys. Harry number 1 gets sucked out of the airlock with B'Elanna there, and B'Elanna's like, Harry! And I'm like, ah. Okay, so that's the end of Harry as we know it. But I always felt that there should have been a Borg cube that was cloaked, a cloaked Borg cube nearby. And they're watching the whole thing. The Vidians are attacking Voyager, and they see Harry Kim shoot out of the airlock, and they're going, for some reason, they're disposing of their officers. They're just throwing them out the window. So they beam me aboard the Borg cube. And so I'm like, so now I'm on the Borg cube, and they Borgify me. I become Borg. So now they send Harry Kim, Borgified Harry Kim, as a leader of the Borg Special Forces Unit to retrieve 7 of 9, right? This is amazing. So they beam aboard the ship. It's just some Borg Kim is like just walking down. And Chakotay walks up, bam, knocks Chakotay back. Tom Paris, bam, just beats the living hell out of every guy on Voyager, kicking him. Comes right up to 7 of 9, is cowering in the corner, and she's backing up, just like, And just before Borg Kim gets a hold of 7 of 9, Duplicate Kim, the alive Kim, comes around the corner and does some type of MacGyver technique and just eliminates Borg Kim, and that's when 7 of 9 looks at Harry and says, I love you, and then they get married and have kids. Okay, all right. But not lizard babies, they have normal kids.
Sorry, that sort of felt like a therapy session, and ended in a fantasy session, but it was a great answer.
All right, it's just to entertain people. Hi.
Hi. I have 2 questions.
Yes.
What got you into acting?
What got me into acting? I've always been a big fan of comedy and doing accents and impersonations, and so that's what started my interest in acting. And then when I was in university, I was pre-med, I was going to be a doctor, and the last second I decided, I don't want to be a doctor, and I started taking theater classes and acting classes and getting more and more into it. My parents were very, very mad. They were like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just going to be an actor. My mom was like, give me one example of one Asian man that's made it in Hollywood. And I said, Bruce Lee. My mom said, he's dead, pick another. And I couldn't think of anything, but finally, now they're big fans of mine. What's your second question?
How much do you like it?
Oh, how much do I like it? I like it a lot. I mean, you get the chance to become a different character, which is fun. It's playing make-believe, you know? So it's really, actors are all big kids at heart, really. That's what actors are. Thank you for those questions, young man. Very well thought out. Cool. I'm gonna give you an air high five. Thank you. And now, air sci-fi. Thank you. All right. Hi.
Hi. So in Voyager, I know Harry Kim plays the clarinet. Do you play clarinet like in real life, or was that just...
Oh, well, it's funny because when they came to me, they said, hey, next episode, next week, you're playing the clarinet. I said, I don't know how to play the clarinet. They said, oh, that's fine. We have a clarinet teacher coming in to teach you. I said, oh, really? How many hours have you scheduled with this clarinet teacher? They said, 1 hour. I go, are you kidding me? In 1 hour, I'll learn how to hold the clarinet. I mean, maybe how to put the reed on and maybe make a sound, but I'm not gonna know how to play it. So they said, well, what do you need? I said, as many hours as possible. So 17 hours later, I was able to make a sound, and I made sure that every note that was played was fingered correctly, because I know some people were watching that know how to play the clarinet or saxophone, and they would be just watching to see if I was doing the right thing, right? And it's scary because in the prior series, Next Generation, Riker plays the trombone. Now, Riker, Jonathan Frakes in real life, did play the trombone when he was in high school, so he knew how to do that, right? And so I felt they should have went to the Voyager actors and said, okay, by a show of hands, who plays musical instruments? And then gone with that. But no, they decided to give me the clarinet, which I was quite angry about, to be honest, right? And I did, you know, at the end of the show, they didn't even let me keep the clarinet. I thought, you know, you made me play the darn thing. How about just, hey, the army is here. Okay, so give me the clarinet, but they never did. Yeah. Is that your ukulele?
Yeah.
Do you play it a lot?
Yeah.
Can I hear a little bit?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. That is awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
I was waiting for her to ask me to play that. I'm like, oh my god. No. But I had a time. I'm going to quickly tell you a story. In Germany, I was doing a convention, and a young lady comes up, and she's on the microphone, and she says, "Is Garrett? I know in Voyager that you play the clarinet, and I was wondering if it's possible for you to play mine." And she pulls it out. She didn't have it when she walked up to the microphone, but somehow it magically appeared out of her bum. It's like, boom, my clarinet. And I'm like, Robbie McNeil was standing next to me on stage, and he looks at the audiences and all the German fans and says, "Yes, Germany, we should have Garrett play the clarinet. Garrett. I go, no, don't do this, man. And he chants, and he makes them chant, and a room of 5,000 Germans are like, Garrett. So I take the clarinet. I'm like, oh, yeah, all right. Couldn't make a sound. It was just air. I'm like, oh my god. I'm so embarrassed. I'm looking at Robbie like I'm gonna kill him, right? Air again. I'm like, oh. So now I'm turning red, purple. So I run backstage. I go, oh, technical difficulties. I run backstage. I take the clarinet apart. I take the reed off. I wet the reed, put the reed back on. Woo. I make a sound. I'm like, yes. Run back out. I go, I'm ready. Everybody, here we go. It was air again. Now, Robbie's like, hey man, I'm sorry. I didn't know you couldn't play it. I said, I can play it. But I didn't want to play it. You just messed with me. And I'm so embarrassed and I'm so mad at you. And he looks at me, he's like, is there anything I can do? I go, yes there is. I go, Germany, who would like to see Robbie Duncan McNeil, Tom Paris, take his shirt off? And they're like, Robbie. So he does. He's good natured. He goes along with it. He starts doing this little Chippendales dance. He takes his shirt off. But the minute he takes his shirt off, you have to understand, Robbie McNeil stopped being an actor and he started directing. And when you direct, you don't have to go to the gym anymore. You don't have to look good anymore. So Robbie takes his shirt off and he's got the big belly there and he's a little bit sweaty. And right when that shirt came off, the German fans are like, Robbie. Frozen, staring at the belly and the sweat. Quiet. All 5,000 Germans. And then the girl that came to ask me about the clarinet, she came up to my autograph table later. She goes, you know, when Robbie McNeil took his shirt off, it reminded me of my father. I'm like, yes. Revenge is mine. So, anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hi.
Oh, good question.
No, yeah, what's your question?
So a lot of the conventions, you go along as a celebrity moderator.
I do moderate panels, yeah.
Any tips for an aspiring MC at conventions?
Oh my gosh. Keep it moving and keep it funny, right? Like here's a good story. I was on stage and I was moderating Carl Urban, fellow Kiwi of yours here. And
this is
Peter Weller. What's that?
Did Carl Urban do it? Go on, I'll ask you.
Okay, it was Carl Urban and Peter Weller, right? And so Carl, on his phone, I noticed his phone case is Han Solo encased in carbamide, right there, you know, the frozen carbon. So I'm going, oh my gosh. So I said, just ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't think that Carl Urban is a huge nerd, look at his phone case. So I show it to everybody, right? And then I start talking about how they were looking for Peter. They hadn't found Peter Capaldi for the next Doctor Who. So Matt Smith had finished his reign, and they were searching a long, tenuous search for the next Doctor. And I started talking on stage about fandoms, you know, to Carl. And Carl was like, I love Doctor Who. So I bring up my story about Doctor Who. I said, yeah, I was thinking about filming a YouTube video, a parody video of me as Doctor Who, but spelled H-U, the Chinese spelling. And instead of my TARDIS would be an oversized Chinese takeout box that I come out of. My sonic screwdriver would be my sonic chopstick, right? So everything would be, you know, stereotypical Chinese, but I would still speak with a British accent, right? And I would have filmed this parody video. Carl Urban looks at me, he's like, I'd like to be in that video. And I go, my companion is Carl Urban as Doctor Who. So, yeah, that was fun. But yeah, but really just keep find the funny in everything, right? Keep it moving. That's the best thing for moderation. Yeah?
Excellent. No, thank you very much for that.
And you do that.
Anyone else have any questions for Garrett? No? Well, in that case, I think for that inspirational piece, Christchurch, show some love for Handsome Kim!
Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. Excellent. Keep it up, keep it up! Alright, we've got one more panel today before we call it quits, and that will be The Adventures of Wallace and Clark and Mutant X panel with...